Hello, good morning. Welcome to JoyNews. That's coming up this morning. Operations at the Upper West Regional Hospital halted, leaving patients confused and helpless following disconnection of parts of facility over 20 million Ghana cedis unpaid bills. Also, school children bearing brunt of ongoing strike by caterers under the school feeding program. We'll bring you details shortly. And in the build-up to the opposition NDC's primaries, we'll take you to the Adenton constituency, where the incumbent is facing fierce contest from two aspirants, including former Gender Minister Nana Oye Bampo Ado. Plus, roofing works of the Breman Jamra DA Basic Schools almost complete. That's the latest on the classroom project. Upon your enormous support to that project, we have the updates for you. We have business and other stories coming up shortly. My name is Aisha. Ibrahim, do stay for details. The Volta River Authority's Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NETCO, has disconnected parts of the Upper West Regional Hospital over 20 million Ghana cedis debt. The disconnection has brought all operations at the hospital to a standstill, leaving patients stranded. Correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
Out of the 82 million Ghana cedis owed via NETCO by ministries, municipal, district assemblies and government agencies and institutions in the Upper West region, about 1/3 of the amount, pegged around 20 million Ghana cedis, is owed by the Upper West Regional Hospital. After disconnecting the Dr. Helen Liman Technical University and the One Nation Training College last week, the next stop of the revenue mobilization drive was at the Upper West Regional Hospital. Upper West Area Manager of the VRA NETCO, Engineer Francis Yemiso, led the charge.
For over 1 year now, they've not paid anything. And with them alone holding 20 million Ghana cedis, how are we going to run this going forward? As such, we've agreed with them. So, as we speak, we've disconnected supply to the facility. We are still going to engage, and if they are able to come halfway, we are definitely going to reconnect them. So, this is where we stand now. We are even asking them to pay at least 30%. Per our agreement, you are supposed to pay 75%. Looking at the critical nature of the facility, we are asking them to pay at least 30% of the total amount. And currently, they are telling us that they don't have anything in their coffers to even give out anything.
Engineer Yemiso noted that since they started the exercise, they are yet to hit their target, and as a result, has sent some demand notices to some organizations and institutions.
Our target for this exercise is 89 million Ghana cedis, and the chunk of the amount is owned by the Ministries Department and Energy. As we speak today, we have collected only 1.9 million Ghana cedis. So you can see we are nowhere near our target, and we need to continue. We've served some demand notice to the BNI, now they are called NIB. We have served demand notice to the Ghana Police Command, to the Ghana Fire Service, to prisons. Some agencies have also been disconnected, and we are still engaging them. All those demand notices should take 14 days. After 14 days, if they are not forthcoming, then similar action that have been taken here will be taken at those facilities.
There was total darkness at all departments of the hospital after the power was disconnected from the source. All activities at the hospital was halted. The patients became helpless and confused, thereby aggravating and worsening their plight. Dr. Robert Amesier is the medical director of the Upper West Regional Hospital.
People are in the neonates are in the NICU line in incubators with no light. People are in the ICU with no light. People might need emergency surgery. In fact, this morning we had an accident involving two buses on the Kumasi-Accra way, and a lot of patients have been brought to us. So with that light, I don't even know what we're going to do with those patients.
He appealed to the VRA NERCO to temper justice with mercy and reconnect the hospital for them to resume operations whilst they continue to engage further for the settlement of the debt.
In other places, patients have options as to where to go. In our part of the country, the options are not as many as we have. If you fall and you are heavily injured, you have brain injury and you need a scan, in the whole of this region, if not in this hospital, you can't get it anywhere. So because we don't have options like elsewhere, it makes our situation more dire than anyone can imagine. So I'm just appealing to them to reconnect us so that we can continue to offer service to the teeming public.
Mind you, this is a hospital that was commissioned almost 4 years ago by President Akufo-Addo without seed capital. Several appeals made at several fora by prominent citizens of the area, including members of the Upper West Region House of Chiefs, is yet to see the light of the day. To add insult to injury, the design of the hospital is having a huge toll on its bigger finances. The design did not take into consideration the conservation of electricity at the facility.
So, as I said, we're the highest energy consumer in the design. And I'm wondering, hospital bills in this country, virtually everywhere. And you also have the centralized condition that even if you need light in one operating room, virtually everywhere has to be powered. So the design is not helping us.
The cruel reality, however, is that this 218-bed hospital consumes more electricity than all major hospitals in the country, except the 37 military hospital. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's now get to the Upper West region and speak with Rafiq Salam, who has more for us. Rafiq, what's the situation at the hospital as we speak?
I report to you now that the situation at the Upper West Regional Hospital is not as yesterday as it was, because I just got to the hospital and I'm told that the power was restored to the facility around 6 a.m. this morning. And so the hospital has now resumed operations, and then a lot of activities are taking place at the hospital. As I speak to you now, I'm currently at the OPD of the hospital. You can see that a lot of activities are currently ongoing at this facility. And so the lights are back. The information that I've also gleaned on indicates that there was some kind of intervention from the Ministry of Health from Accra, and they have been told that they should forward all bills of the hospital to the ministers for them to take action on. And so for now, the situation at the hospital is not as it was yesterday, when the patients were restless, helpless, and also confused, not knowing what will happen to them next.
So you're talking about intervention. What kind of intervention are you talking about? Has any debt been settled for the hospital?
For now, there was no debt settled because the hospital is owing close to about 20 billion Ghana cedis. We talk about the public debt in the Upper West region regarding the VRA NERCO in the Upper West region. It's about 107 million Ghana cedis, and out of this amount, 82 million is owed by MDAs in the Upper West region. But in the case of the Upper West region hospital, they are owing close to about 20 million Ghana cedis, and for now, the VRA were asking that if they could pay close to about 30% for them to be reconnected. But the situation of the hospital doesn't support that. Their pay, also their bank account, shows that there's really nothing there. And so that's the reason why Accra, the ministry, has asked that they should forward all bills to them for them to deal with. But for now, nothing was paid. It was just delegation from Accra and Empower was set to the facility this morning.
Rafik, away from the hospital, and since you are in the Upper West region, let me gauge your mood on the school feeding situation. We know the caterers say they will lay down their tools. What's the situation in the Upper West region?
In the Upper West region, I have visited a handful of schools, and I was told that they even didn't hear about that particular announcement. But what I can report to you that majority of them are at their schools and they're doing their usual activity. And so for them, they said, some of them probably said that the announcement came in late, and then, but for today, they are the various schools are cooking for their pupils. Maybe tomorrow, they will take a different action.
Rafik Salam is our correspondent in the Upper West region. Definitely, we'll bring you more from that hospital as and when we get it. Meanwhile, school children in parts of the Ashanti region have been bearing the brunt of the strike in the region. And Abwachi Yadom has more.
The caterers at a recent press conference said they would not be intimidated to resume cooking for pupils in basic schools. Love News checks, however, indicate some of the caterers are returning to cook. Headmaster of the State Experimental Basic School 2, Solomon Osei Kankam, says the absence of the caterers had a negative consequence on school attendance. He says students who depended on the regular school meal resisted attending classes.
As you can see, we are at work now cooking for the children. Before then, the children, when they come to school, because most of them depend on this food, when they come in the afternoon, you see some of them complaining of hunger. We did advise them to bring money to school to buy food until the caterers come back. But some of them will come to school complaining that they don't have money. And it was actually having effect on our teaching and learning.
The headmaster pleaded with the government to liaise with the caterers to prevent any further strike.
Now, because of this school feeding, it is now part of the system. So if that is out, the school will not be that attractive to the children any longer. So we are hoping and praying that government will be able to come to the aid of the caterers so that work will go on smoothly for everything to be fine for us.
Some parents also called on the government to ensure the caterers fully return to post.
As a mother, I wake up early for work, so it's disturbing to find my kids go to school without the caterers not cooking. Government must consider doing something urgently about this. There are enormous challenges considering the strike action. Government must pay his debt and ensure the caterers return to schools to cook. You promised to feed the students, so do so. If you stop cooking, it becomes a problem for parents for as long as it remains a government policy. Government must do something as soon as possible.
For JoyNews, Nana Bwachi Dankwe Yadom reporting.
Nana Bwachi Danko Yadom joins us with more. Nana Bwachi, what has changed since the last time you visited the schools?
What is only surprising, Aisha, is the fact that we could see some of the caterers returning back to some of these busy schools we visited yesterday. Upon further checks, we went to the leadership. We went to ask them why we could see some of these caterers back to post. When they told us that those caterers are doing it out of their own will, but their strike action continues. The only surprising thing I think we found out of yesterday's groundwork was the fact that these caterers were in their basic schools. But continuously, we realized that their strike action continues, and then it is expanding. It is becoming a nationwide strike action. It is no more something that is happening in the Ashanti region alone as it stands. It has been extended to other regions as we speak because their leadership continue to say that their demands are not being met. That is the upward adjustment of the feeding grants and then the payment of the arrears for the second term of the previous academic year.
You reported yesterday that it had affected attendance. Has anything changed today?
I must stand, nothing has changed. Even with some of these caterers returning back to school yesterday, low attendance is still a problem to some of these schools. The children are still not coming to school because the caterers, their leadership, during press conferences and during other meetings are saying they are not returning fully. To what extent attendance is still a problem in some of these schools that we visited yesterday. I spoke to the headmaster this morning, Mr. Solomon Osekankamane, and he's telling me that even as at yesterday, when some of these caterers returned to post, the children are still refusing to come back to school because the food that was served them yesterday was not something that could reach them or was not adequate enough.
Nanabuachi Yadom with that update from some schools he visited in the Ashanti region. This is something we're monitoring. We'll bring you more as and when we get it. To other stories, President Akufo-Addo says Ghana remains resolute in its position against the Russian invasion of Ukraine. According to him, Ghana, as a founding member of the non-aligned movement, had consistently resisted the idea that the big powers have the freedom to do what they like on the planet. He said Ghana has never accepted that principle, whether it is the Americans, Russians, or any other country. At a joint news conference with visiting Austrian Prime Minister to Ghana, the president said Ghana will stand up against any aggressor seeking to use its power to eliminate the existence of any country.
On the effects of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, coupled the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic are having across the world. Undeniably, they have put countries, communities, and households across Africa and indeed across the world in precarious situations and are threatening to derail the development progress in African countries in particular. The reason why Ghana led the fight for the liberation of the African continent from colonialism and imperialism and became one of the 5 initiators of the historic non-aligned movement is because of our history, which has always been against great power domination of the affairs of the world. It is this same principle that led us to vote in the United Nations General Assembly in favor of the motion condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And it is a position that we will continue to hold. Great powers of whatever ilk, including friendly ones, trampling on small nations is not something we welcome. And within our modest means, we will register our disapproval of that.
Despite over a decade of counter-terrorism, the Sahel is now home to the world's most lethal and fastest-growing violent Islamist group. Coastal West African countries such as Ivory Coast, Togo, and Benin have experienced jihadist attacks following the intensification of jihadist presence in the Sahel, especially Burkina Faso and Mali. There are fears these countries and others like Ghana and Senegal will see increasing jihadist presence feature prominently on their security agenda. President Akufo-Addo says Ghana will welcome support from her partners to ward off the insurgents.
As members of the United Nations Security Council, we share similar aspirations and values, and we've collaborated at the multilateral level, particularly on issues of security within West Africa, as well as on issues of global security. A major outcome of our meeting today is the affirmation of our commitment to collaborate further on tackling emerging security threats within the region, particularly on issues of terrorism, border security, and maritime piracy. We also will resolve to work together to promote democracy in the region and reiterated firmly our mutual stance against unconstitutional changes in government.
Center for Democratic Development is calling for a review of community mining initiative. The initiative was introduced as a measure to provide jobs for unemployed youth in the mining communities who are empowered to engage in responsible small-scale mining. But Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the CDD, Dr. Kojo Asante, says the initiative has become a cover for illegal mining.
What we have to insist is that if government says that it's serious. If the president says he was going to put his presidency on the line, it cannot shirk its responsibility. And all of the revelations that are coming and so on and so forth, it can't be dismissive and say that it's hearsay. This is the cabinet minister that you put in charge of your own committee that you set up and has brought a report. They say, well, it's not on a letterhead, it's not this and that. This was 2 years ago. That is even a worry, that we want to know what was done 2 years ago. Even for you to come to a determination that something is hearsay, you need to investigate it. For me, I'm calling for some independent process to go into this matter. This matter it's not just today. But this report was 2 years ago. So what had been done since then? If at that time government thought it was hearsay, why is it that he kept all the committee and all of those things so functioning? Is it now that we now matters? So we cannot accept what government is saying. Somebody's personal grievances. No. That's not good enough. We need to a proper investigation. As a state that is serious will do proper investigation into the matter, where everybody will see the report. Yeah, we talked to this person, we introduced, we went to see, and this person doesn't own anything, all of those things. We want a proper report, not just a dismissing, from a cabinet minister that you or yourself have appointed to oversee the process. No, that's not acceptable.
Meanwhile, the government is insisting it's on course in protecting Ghana's forests and water resources despite public condemnation for its handling of illegal mining in the wake of explosive Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Samuel Abujinapo says government is leading the fight with enough transparency and integrity to deal with the Galamsey menace.
Is that you continue to have the assurance of government and the ministry that we are discharging our mandate with integrity and transparency, with candor, and doing all we can to ensure that we keep our environment, we keep our landscape intact, and the integrity of our forest reserve is not compromised. And as you know, the various measures the ministry is put in place to deal with these matters are matters of public knowledge, and the matters are spoken to over and over again. And we're very focused on that, and we don't want to be distracted. The forestry sector is one aspect of the mandate of the ministry, but as you quite rightly pointed out, the forestry sector has a relationship with the mining sector, as the mining sector has a relationship with the forestry sector. So whilst we are taking these measures to green our country, we are equally taking measures to protect the forest reserves of our country. And that is the responsibility the President gave me from March 2021 to date, and I've been working hand in glove with the various stakeholders in the ministry, in government, and beyond to make sure that we discharge the assignment given to us by the President. And that's exactly what we are focused on doing.
We'll take a break on JoyNews desk. We'll be back with more. 76 Ghanaian students fleeing the fight in Sudan have safely crossed over to Ethiopia after 3 days on the road. Their journey was facilitated by the Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars, and help from the government when the calls for a ceasefire was ignored by warring factions. According to the BBC, there's no fuel and a lack of doctors, with people struggling to access food and money. But the students have successfully crossed the border to Ethiopia, now receiving aid. Abdulaziz Karim is leading the students in Ethiopia.
Alhamdulillah, we are all doing well here. All brothers and sisters are safe here. We slept this morning and everyone is doing well. Our belongings, I think in the process, one of our brothers lost his hand luggage containing his laptop and other certificates. So that is even at Gadarif, because we stopped at Madani and there were a lot of chaos, the people trying to take advantage of us and all that. So I'm sure it's in the process, someone picked that up. So that has not been a problem. So moving from here to Ethiopia, Ethiopian border, the ambassador is here herself. She's here. She was here yesterday. She tried all she could for us to move to the town, but they said it's late. So this morning, early morning, around 6 o'clock, she was here, and she's leading the process for us to get visa and all that. The hint I heard is we will move. Actually, there are buses here waiting for us. She came with the buses and escorts. So possibly if we are done with the visa process, we'll move by buses, but I don't know where is it taking us to. And so currently I don't have any updates on that, but we are all safe. The ambassador is here at the border. She's leading the process to make sure we see a safe passage. Yes.
Joining us is Lord Mark Mensah. He's president of the Global Union of Ghanaian Scholars. I'm grateful for your time. You've been in touch with the students since their time in Sudan. What have you been picking up?
Yeah, so it has been a hi and good afternoon to your listeners and everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Mark Mensah.
Sorry, I'm on transit at the airport, so pardon me for the noise around. So we have been, had sleepless nights for the past 3-4 nights, but thankfully they have arrived, like you heard in the voice note that he forwarded to us today, that they have arrived safely and they are now in Ethiopia. I want to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you and congratulate the student leaders who stood firm and strong and supported the remaining students who are with them and guided them safely there. We also want to thank the government, the ambassador from Ethiopia, and then the ambassador from Egypt. We're all together communicating and helping, and then we've all coordinate and make this happen. For the first time, we have done this successfully, and I think everybody deserves a pat in the back. So thank you very much. Joy FM also, you have been constantly asking for updates, encouraging us. So we appreciate you as well.
How are the students faring in terms of food, water, medication, and security in general?
So like you heard him, the President Latif said in his voice notes, the ambassador is there. War situations are terrible. So I think for now, we will not even see the impact yet, but they are still terrified. But thankfully, they are with ambassador. So I am sure that there's going to be some form of pastoral and psychological care arranged for them to make sure that those who are going through trauma are helped. So for now, the most important thing is safety. So they want to arrive somewhere safely that they can be assured that that there's no harm. And then from there, we can talk about what next in terms of, where they're going and also the healing process, as you're saying. Yeah.
So Latif indicated that a bus was ready to pick them after their visa session, but he didn't know where they were going. Do you know?
So they're definitely going to the Ethiopia capital, which is Addis Ababa. Where the embassy, Ghana's embassy is. So from there, they will be processed. I am not sure, I heard briefly, but I don't want to say it on air. I'm not sure about the government's final arrangement for them. I think the immediate rumor we are hearing is that they will be sent to Ghana first, and then, because nobody knows what's going to happen in Khartoum, Sudan. So we can't say they should wait in Ethiopia and then return back to Sudan. So I'm sure just like it happened in Ukraine, they will be sent back to Ghana. And then from there, whatever happened, the government will make those arrangements with the families.
Lord Mark Mensah, I'm grateful for your time. He's president of the Ghana Union of Ghanaian Scholars, and he's leading the team that is evacuating students from Sudan. On your election headquarters, incumbent MP for Adentan constituency in the Greater Accra region, Mohammed Ramadan Adamu, is facing a fierce contest from two other aspirants, including former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Anoye Bampo Ado. In the upcoming NDC parliamentary primary slated for May 13, Samuel Mbura from our political desk has more on this constituency as we build up to the May 13 NDC primaries.
Created in 2004, the Adenta constituency is predominantly a middle-class residential area with a mix of urban and rural settlements. The New Patriotic Party was the first to win the seat when it was created. It, however, in the 2008 elections, lost to the National Democratic Congress. In the subsequent 2012 and 2016 elections, the MPP regained the seat, but in the 2020 elections, lost to Mohammed Adamu Ramadan of the NDC. And as the NDC goes to polls in May to elect its parliamentary candidates for the 2024 general elections, all three aspirants are certain of winning the contest to lead the party. The incumbent MP for Adenta constituency, Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, has already declared himself a winner of the primaries and goes further to pledge his support for John Mohammed's candidature.
There are two other people contesting you. But for me, I want to speak on behalf of the people of Adenta. The 2,774 delegates have all said that we are giving you 100% in Adenta constituency. Choboy, it goes without mention. It goes without mention that on the 13th of May, I would plead with you, let us all go, let us take the ballot papers and let us observe, let us keep our eyes at the top. Let us all listen to what the scripture says. The scripture tells us that I and my Father are one.
But he's facing a stiff contest from former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Nana Oyebampo, and Linda Asibiawuni, an engineer by profession and a first-time contender who is already pulling some crowd behind her candidature. According to Nana Oyebampo, who is contesting the primaries for the second time after losing to the incumbent in the 2019 primaries, she has the integrity and vast experience to lead the NDC. Her major target is to create jobs, especially for the youth, if elected.
Nana Oye is here to serve the people of Adenta. Nana Oye is humble. Nana Oye is honest and has the integrity and has a vast experience in politics, in law, in public service, in parliamentary work by virtue of the advocacy work that I did. I'm here to serve the people of Adenta. I'm here to ensure that our infrastructure is improved, that we have a tertiary hospital, we convert the school junction into an ultra transport terminal, that we also have a second senior high school at Adringano. I'm also here to ensure that we get jobs. The youth, we have a lot of youth in Adenta. I'm here to procure jobs, to help create jobs for the youth in Adenta.
Roofing sheets have finally been laid on the 3-unit classroom block at the Breman Jamra site of the Multimedia's Classroom Project, thanks to the benevolence of you, our cherished viewers, voluntary donors, and the Vice President's Office. The new Breman Jamra DA Basic School block comprises a 3-classroom unit, a headmaster's office, staff common room, and a library cum ICT center, spearheaded by the JoyNews arm of the Multimedia Group. The Classroom Project is aimed at supporting 2 communities to provide safer learning environments for some 700 school children. It is supported by the Star Ghana Foundation and WAXI with funding from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Work on the second project site located at Tolon in the northern region is yet to start. Let's take you to the central region site at Breman Jamra and speak with the engineer leading work on the site. Good morning, Samuel Kofi Agbanyaga. Hello, Kofi. All right, so we lost Kofi there. We'll try and bring him back, but of course we want to say thank you to all of you who donated your widow's smile to support this project. The Vice President's office, all well-meaning institutions and individuals who supported this project. We want to say thank you very much. We here at JoyNews are happy that the project has reached this stage. There's another one coming up in Tolong, which is yet to start. We're counting on your benevolence to actually support us to complete this and to put some smiles on the faces of these young ones. All right, Kofi Agbanyaga is back. Kofi, I'm sure the peoples are happy to see work at this stage.
Yes. Good morning to you. We are very happy. And this morning, before I go here, there was chunk of students taking stayed under the new room block, and I had to politely ask them to working here.
Is that all there is to do on the roof, or is there anything more to be done?
There's a little bit more to do. We're supposed to do the ceiling, and then also do the setting up of the structure to be able to fit the doors and then the windows. So we talk about doing the screening of the floor. That if we have to tile, we have to do the tiling, but we are not going to tile. Then we have to just do the screening. And so we need sand, we need cement, we need the plywood for the ceiling, and then we need electrical work to be done. So really these things are done, then we can happily hand over the structure to the people of Ghana.
So what else is outstanding to be done on the facility before handing it over?
Okay, so currently we need to get the ceiling done, get the dressing of the structure, get the landscape too, and then get the stair area fixed, get some blocks to get the stairs done so that we can do the stairs for both the physically challenged and then the able people, and then also get the windows and the doors fitted. But before we can get the windows and the doors fitted, we need to get the floors to be screeded. If we have to tile, we have to tile. Then we start fitting all these things, and then the electrical work can come now. Now, one good thing is that because the roofing sheets are now on top, we can do these things concurrently. So whilst we are doing the screening work, there will be dressing of the columns and then the pillars will be dressed nicely. At that time, maybe the ceiling work can be done alongside. So that can hasten the completion. So if all are good to go, if we have enough money, then I can say that by 6 weeks we should be able to finish and hand over the structure to the people of Ghana.
Tell us about the status of community support and work on the site.
Please come again.
I'm asking about the status of community support, the kind of support you've gotten from the community so far, and I mean related to work on the site.
To be honest, the community support now is, to be frank, it's low because with this roofing work, I needed about 4 carpenters to do this work, but I had to call on only 2 because they are not being paid money. So people feel reluctant. And the people here have this perception that since it's a school, it's being built by government. And so most of them think that even me, I'm a contractor on the project and I'm being paid, and I'm rather trying to use them to do labor work and all that. They don't understand the communal work as we are giving this for free. So far as it's a school or it's a hospital, they think that it's supposed to be done by government. And so they still have that perception that the project is being done by government. Regardless of the noise that multimedia is making on the oil waste and all that, they still think that this project belongs to the government, but it doesn't. So the community support is a bit low. I have to push before I can get something done.
What do we need?
Pardon?
What more support do you need?
At this moment, I need If I need any community support, I'll need places that can help me do the plastering work, the dressing up of the structure, the feeding. This is what I'll need the community to do. Then the process of labor. But then with materials, I need cement, I need sand, I need blocks, I need electrical work to be done, and then I think that will be all. We can then hand over the structure to the community.
You heard the engineer on the site, Samuel Kofi Agbanyaga. He says he needs some little support from the community to complete this whole project. And we want to say thank you once again for your support. Now, life was great for businessman Afa Mutao and his family some few months ago until disaster struck. His wife was diagnosed with kidney disease. 9 months into her treatment, resources of the family have been dissipated as a result. The family is appealing for support to keep her alive. More in this report.
9 months ago, Muftau Fatima was diagnosed with kidney disease. Her initial shock gave way to despair. Her world came to a halt and started crumbling. The once strongly built, active woman suddenly became weak and could barely do anything for her. For the past 9 months, she had had to depend on dialysis to survive.
When I'm able to go for the dialysis, then come back, I'm able to do something and I feel a bit healthy. But when I'm not able to go for the dialysis, I'm not able to do anything. All I'll do is lie down.
Husband of the patient, Afa Muftau, said when it started, they moved to several hospitals before she was diagnosed. He said every single day there was an expenditure to be made before they were finally admitted to the hospital. Afa Muftau said they have spent close to 50,000 already for her treatment.
Her sickness has worried us a lot. Since it started till date, I can say we have spent over 50,000, but it's reached a stage we have to appeal for help to continue her treatment.
Zakia Muftau said her mother's illness has changed everything in their home. Life literally revolves around going to the hospital and gathering funds for her next appointment. She said it's not only draining the family financially, but also emotionally.
In the week, we work for the dialysis twice, so that's what we've been doing. And it hasn't been easy. The money, in a week, we spend more than 1,000 cedis. And sometimes, if the day will come, you will not know what to do. But you just have to struggle and do something. It hasn't been easy. I only go through emotional trauma.
Madam Fatima Muftau was a trader. She spent half of her day selling her wares in the store. But currently, as we speak, it's been locked. All the resources spent on treating her, so she has to close down the store.
Madam Fati's ailment has not just affected her business, but her husband's business and any other activity in the house.
Yes, Afa Muftau's shop. It used to be a bubbling center where people came to buy building materials. Today it's almost a pale shadow of itself. Every single resource gathered has been sunk into the treatment of his wife.
We're still live on Joy News Desk. When we return, there's business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. A Deputy Minister of Food and Agriculture has reiterated the commitment of government to develop the agri sector. Speaking at a ceremony, the opening ceremony of a two-day knowledge exchange conference on farmer-led irrigation development in sub-Saharan Africa, the Minister, Alhaji Hadi Teferu, said government will open up investment space for small-scale farmers to access technology for farmer-led irrigation. Here's more in this report.
The Sub-Saharan Knowledge Exchange Conference, organized by the International Water Management Institute with support from USAID, World Bank, Feed the Future, Water and Energy for Food, and other partners, is to share and learn ideas and strategies from different parts of Africa on farmer-led irrigation in Sub-Saharan Africa. The conference brought together stakeholders in the agricultural sector across Africa. Dr. Olufunke Kofi is a country representative of the International Water Management Institute of West Africa.
Yeah, the International Water Management Institute has convened this meeting together with other partners. We want to capture lessons that have been learned in implementing farmer-led irrigation development all over Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa particularly. We realize that in many countries there are quite a lot of interventions. There are many practices, good practices. There are many business innovations and also research results, knowledge that have been generated across different sectors by different stakeholder groups, whether they're in the private sector or whether they're in the public or in the academia. So the essence is to bring everyone back together so that we can actually capture all the lessons, discuss where are we in this trajectory of growth with farmer-led irrigation development, where are the gaps, and what should we be doing now going forward. Basically, that is why we are gathered, and we are hoping that at the end of this two-day meeting, we would have really identified opportunities to catalyze further investments in farmer-led irrigation development in Sub-Saharan. The way it is called, it is farmer-led. Means that these are all farmer innovations. These are just things they do by themselves with little or no support from other sectors, and it's all dependent on their access to water to do something like dry season farming, their access to resources, access to markets and to information and to knowledge. So in many cases, some of these things are lacking. And so we know that many individuals and organizations are stepping in to support. So we have identified some good cases and we're bringing them together to actually see how they have been doing it in those few cases that are like bright spots, and how we can kind of scale those innovations.
The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, Alhaji Hadi Teferu, assured government was committed to the development of agriculture. He also expressed confidence that a farmer-led irrigation will help mitigate the effect of climate change.
The Bank of Ghana has been committed to the agriculture sector over the years because agriculture remains the backbone of the country, contributing 60% of Ghana's workforce and 20% of GDP in 2020. Due to climate change, with unprecedented climate variabilities, the sector contribution to GDP is projected to decline by 0.8% to 2.5%, and food production itself also to decline by 7% in this year to 2050. This is a threat that must be addressed. As most farming activities are rain-fed, the impact of climate change and already significantly affecting the ability of farmers to predict rainfall patterns, frequency, intensity, and variability during the major and minor crop seasons. Therefore, without improving in irrigation, infrastructure, and agricultural water management, farmers in Ghana will be severely affected by climate change, leading to food insecurity, poverty, and hunger. This is where irrigation becomes very important to help adapt to the variability in water availability for food production, especially during the dry season. In response to the challenges of climate change, low crop productivity, and weak market linkages, the government established several developmental programs with the sole aim of ensuring food security, increasing rural incomes, and creating jobs for the teeming youth in particular.
All right, that story ending the business segment. Handing you back to Aisha.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news there. See you again at 12.